thank you, everybody, for coming, especially on a Friday afternoon. I'm Marissa Mays. I'm the Director of Communications for the New Mexico Department of Transportation. I hope everybody received a press packet who needs one. Inside, you're going to find an agenda that will be outlining the distinguished speakers and other dignitaries that are in attendance this afternoon. There's also a link to the new NDWI ad that we will be showing later. The commercial spots are currently running on radio, television, and social media. They are for the reporters, that link, so that if any of the photogs may need them for VOBs or packages, then you can just grab them there. So we've done away with the DVDs. We're going to show the new ad, as I was mentioning, towards the end of this news conference here, which, by the way, was shot in English and Spanish by the incredible production company of Arcade Ventures. So thank you for all of the work that you guys put into this. They also put up all of these incredible visuals here on the walls. This spot was filmed on location here in New Mexico with New Mexico talent, which I think is important to mention. In addition, we are announcing our annual 100 Days and Nights of Summer campaign. That will begin on Sunday, and State Police Chief Tim Johnson will be speaking more on that in just a moment, so thank you. You may have noticed all of the DWI Batmobiles that are outside. You guys are welcome to tour those. I know I'm going to, because luckily I've never been in one. And there is in the back a DWI virtual reality experience that is set up. If you are able to take the time to go and experience that, then I certainly recommend it. It's very, very cool. And now I would like to introduce our MC for this event. It's a man that I am so honored to call my boss. He has spent more than 25 years in state government, with 22 of them being in the New Mexico Department of Transportation. He started from the ground up and eventually holding a number of high-profile positions, including serving as the Traffic Safety Division Director, which then allowed him to work closely with law enforcement and push for aggressive DWI prevention and traffic safety campaigns. So please welcome newly appointed NMDOT Cabinet Secretary Michael Sandoval.
Thank you, Marissa, and good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to New Mexico DOT District 3 office. I think when a lot of people envision the DOT, they don't know what our number one goal is, and that's safety. And a lot of people know that we build transportation systems, we maintain transportation systems, but our number one goal is really to keep those transportation systems safe for our travelers. And we do that, and we're really invested in trying to prevent drunk driving. We invest millions in our law enforcement partners through overtime enforcement. We know that research says the best way to reduce death and injury due to impaired driving in our state is an aggressive law enforcement presence, along with public awareness and education. And we invest millions of dollars in both. I want to recognize some of our very close partners here today. I want to thank MAD for your work that you do day in and day out. I want to thank Safer New Mexico Now, who works with our law enforcement agencies across the board, our creative contractor and partner, Mr. Rick Kuhn, our placement agency, Laura Garcia, and Marketing Solutions. They all participate and contribute in keeping our roads safe. And of course, the gentlemen and women behind me who do the most important job, and that is literally taking drunk drivers off of our streets. And that's the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office, Albuquerque Police Department, and State Police. And you'll hear from them in just a bit. So I really welcome this campaign. For someone who's been here in New Mexico for 49 years, born and raised, I know how culturally we tend to pass both good and bad habits from one generation to the next. And I think the spots that you'll see, the campaign that you will hear, really focuses on that. And I'd much rather pass on the good habits than the bad habits. And I think we're starting to gear our public awareness and our campaigns towards that, because it impacts so many native New Mexicans here in our state. So with that, I just want to announce and introduce also newly appointed Cabinet Secretary Mark Shea from the Department of Public Safety, someone who I've gotten to know a little bit over the last 5 months, someone who has a very tough job, but someone who also knows the importance of safety and the importance of enforcing our DWI. So Secretary Shea, would you come and say a few words?
Thank you, Secretary Sandoval. It is truly an honor and a pleasure to be here to speak with you with regard to this initiative for DWI. I've been asked to speak a little bit as an overview for the Department of Public Safety. Again, when you read our title of our organization, safety is in that title, and that is one of our founding principles that every day that we go to work is on the top of our list of things to do. So that being said, the Department of Public Safety obviously works throughout the state, and we work closely with our law enforcement partners, with the Albuquerque Police Department and the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department, and all of our municipal and county agencies around the state and some of our state agencies. I just wanted to let you know from a standpoint of the Department of Public Safety, and Chief Johnson will get into specifics about this operation and some more about the DWI program, but I wanted to just kind of give you a sense of what DPS has been doing over this last year. So I'm looking at some statistics from fiscal year 19, which is the current year we're in, and we've just completed our third quarter. We completed our third quarter, and we'll be completing our fourth quarter here at the end of the month. So I've got some statistics that are pretty much just 3 quarters of the year. The New Mexico State Police and DWI enforcement have so far 3 quarters of the year, they have conducted 2,594 saturation patrols to deal with DWI. They've made 1,580 DWI arrests around the state and conducted 93 DWI checkpoints. We have a subsection of the department, our Special Investigations Unit, that deals with the alcohol-related statutes and dealing with those. From a standpoint of monitoring and doing operations for the sales to intoxicated persons at our liquor establishments, they've conducted 456 operations in that area. Minor compliance and underage enforcement with our underage drinkers, which we're kind of focusing on with this next campaign, trying to deal with the kids that are starting to drink, to get them turned around before they become DWI offenders. That's very important to us, but we've handled 307 of those operations. And we've done 2,027 licensed alcohol premises inspections to make sure that our licensed businesses are following the law and they're not violating the law. And that's very proactive if we start dealing with it at that level before we end up at the other side of it, where we've got to do the enforcement side, where we're making those arrests. One other thing I just wanted to briefly talk about was it's not just the enforcement of the DWI laws, but it's that partnership that we have with the community. Our officers in the 12 districts throughout the state, they're very active about dealing with the community, being at community meetings, being at the schools, being at any event where they can talk to citizens and they can talk to our young people and try to educate them as to what's going on. A program that Department of Transportation has had for some time, we found to be very successful, has been the Drunk Busters program, and that's a program where anyone who sees somebody that they suspect to be a DWI, that they can call, hit pound DWI, or call the 1-877 DWI HALT in order to report somebody. In the 3 quarters of this fiscal year, Drunk Busters have taken 4,670 phone calls. And of those, law enforcement has had contacts with suspected DWIs, 431. And of those 431, 102 of those resulted in DWI arrests. So we're working very hard within our communities to deal with the DWI issue, and we want to especially deal with it as a prevention tool rather than just an enforcement tool. It's more important to us to stop a DWI from ever occurring than to have to deal with the aftermath of arresting somebody that's been involved in a DWI. So with regard to the specifics about what we're doing this summer, I'm going to turn it over to our Chief of the New Mexico State Police, Tim Johnson. Chief.
I always started off with humor. Good afternoon, but I've known Secretary Sandoval for many years. People tell me I'm way too, all right. I've known Secretary Sandoval for many years, and I don't know if you heard that little piece that he said a second ago, that our Cabinet Secretary, Shea, has a tough job. I don't know if you saw Secretary Sandoval's eyes look at me. I think he was saying Secretary Shea has a tough job because he has to supervise me, which is very true. And then the second funny thing, as I drove up here, I saw 55 Bernalillo County deputies, and I asked my lieutenant, I said, we're a bit outgunned today. So when y'all get outside, there'll be all 50 of the officers we have signed to the Metro, they'll be parked outside so that we can outdo Bernalillo County here. Thank you for inviting me, Secretary Sandoval, Ms. Mays. Obviously, traffic safety is very important to the state police. It's one of our core functions. Matter of fact, many, many years ago, that's how this agency started. Nothing has changed. Still one of our, like I said, one of our core functions. Two important things, and I'll share a personal story as one of them. But I was telling some of my folks. I came up through the investigations bureaus of the state police, not necessarily the patrol bureau. So all the DWI stuff and traffic, all of that stuff I'm having to learn as I go. But it's become it's been very, very important to me of late because my daughter started driving last year. And any of you that have a 15 or 16-year-old and they have keys to a car, you really don't trust them. That's for sure, but you're also very worried about what's around them. I think as adults, we take for granted that I trust my skills while I'm driving. I'm always worried about the other folks on the road. So now I'm worried about the other folks, and I'm worried about my daughter driving. So these types of campaigns are very important. It's very important for law enforcement to work collaboratively together, not just in the metro area, but around the state to ensure people and folks like my daughter are protected. It's like I said, it's gained much more importance to my life now that she has a driver's license. They had mentioned the 100 Days and Nights of Summer, which is a campaign that has been around for 10 years. I think it's been very successful. I know that we have worked very well with the Department of Transportation over those last 10 years, and for those 100 days and those 100 nights, all of our state police folks are committed to that, and you will be seeing them on the roadways. If you drive Central in the last couple of months, you'll have seen a third of my department making traffic stops, and a ton of DWI arrests have come out of that. But we will, as we scale that down, those folks will be getting back to their districts so that we can kick off the 100 Days and Nights of Summer. I think it's important to the collaborative efforts between law enforcement and the Department of Transportation is what's very important here. We have an excellent working relationship with the Sheriff's Department, obviously with APD, but we also have to have excellent working relationships with every law enforcement agency in the state to ensure that the highways are safe for folks like my daughter. So in closing, and I'll turn it over to the sheriff who's batting cleanup for good reason. Drivers should expect to see a ton of cops on the road this summer. I'm committed to that. I know the sheriff is, the chief of APD is, and like I said, every other law enforcement agency in the state is committed to having a safe summer on our roadways. I go back a tiny bit. Over those last 10 years that we've been doing this, I've been on the outside in, and I'm like I tell you, I'm excited for the new part of this job, learning the patrol, learning the DWI stuff, learning the traffic stuff, and for any of those that feel that our commitment may be wavering, just based on my history, I could assure you that's not going to be the case. We will still be doing. You'll see as many of us out on the road as you ever have, and with a commitment from the chief's office to ensure that function is still being taken care of. So before I continue rambling, I'll turn it over to the sheriff, Bernalillo County Sheriff Gonzalez.
All right. Good afternoon. So 100 days and nights of summer plus 265. And when I say that, I'd like to give thanks to the traffic unit, the DWI unit. Time after time, since the time I've been here, these gentlemen and the women that have been part of this unit have been recognized time after time for their performance. And when I say that, so I see them being fully committed. To give you an idea of what they've done up to this point for the year, it's just some amazing statistics. 86 operations to date, and of those 86 operations, they've yielded 4,000 citations, 350 arrests, and it's just amazing to me that day after day, and this is only, we're not even halfway through the year, and so these numbers will double and increase. And for us, it's very concerning because, you know, I just read the paper a few days ago and seen a high-profile public official get arrested. And for us, we all leave here scratching our heads and saying, when are people going to understand, you know, that educate yourself and go out there and there's options to DWI. There's nothing wrong with having an adult beverage. It's legal, but do it responsibly. Do it with a conscious mind, knowing that you might be jeopardizing your life or somebody else's life, and know that there's options out there for you. And we need to be able to educate, take stronger legislative action, also hold people accountable, and think outside the box. Just like the chief was saying, I'm as concerned because I have 3 teenagers here, my family, all my friends, colleagues, people we really care and love, and we need to do and make every effort we can possibly to figure out a way to reduce this. So we're thinking outside the box in terms of technology and other ways we can support that effort. And one thing you can get from us, from the Burlingame County Sheriff's, is 100% commitment. And I say that because I have an amazing leader here named Sergeant Eton Lecomte. I can't thank this man enough because we've unified these 2 units, and to have a unity command, to have consistency, and it's actually bolstered the numbers and what we're doing. So if we can give him a round of applause, I'd really appreciate it. I say that I really believe he needs to be recognized because I don't know if he's contemplating retiring, and I'm trying to convince him to stick around. So I wish he would. Yeah, well, you'd have to pay him a lot. So what we're trying to do is we're very competitive too, just like the state police, and we'll do whatever we have to do to keep them around. And so I'd like to just maybe recognize every law enforcement officer that goes out there diligently every day and puts themselves out there, and just give everybody a round of applause that's here. Thank you. Having the Secretary of North Avenue, will you turn it back up?
Thank you, Shea.
Thank you.
All right, I think we're getting just about ready to play the spot. Just one more comment that I wanted to make, and that is we've been making some progress in DWI. This last year, we actually had one of the lowest years for fatalities in New Mexico, right around 125. And I think this campaign and the campaigns that will come after this are really looking, how are we going to get to that next level? How are we going to get under 100? How are we going to get under 75? How are we going to get under 50? How are we going to get to 0? Because of all the people in this room, the 2 people that don't mind losing their job are these 2 ladies right here, Dolly and Lindsay from MAD. They'd like nothing more than to not have a job. But unfortunately, they served over 2,000 victims last year. Family members, right, friends. And so although we're doing well, we still have 125 people's lives to save next year. And we're looking forward to this campaign. We're looking forward to our continuing partnership with our law enforcement officers, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and their dedication for what they do. But let's take a look at this spot. This spot by itself, like I said, it's part of a campaign. Radio, this spot, TV, social media, that's how you get people to change their behavior, and that's what we're trying to do. So if you don't mind, I'm going to move this, and you can go ahead and play the spot.
time. You tell me, don't worry, kid, I'm a great driver. Over the years, he always got away with it, somehow. So I guess I just picked up that bad behavior. You know what they say, like father, like son.
How you doing, officer?
Yes.
What are you doing?
You okay?
You okay? No.
Okay,
Is
sir.
it gonna be okay?
I thought getting arrested was the worst thing that happened to me.
All right, sir. My son's right there.
But losing my son,
It's gonna be okay, son.
that was far worse.
All right, well, thank you very much. Thank you to RK Venture for putting that together. And that'll be playing, like Marissa said, TV, radio. And I think this concludes our press event, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.